If you want financial freedom, time freedom, and want to leave a legacy for generations to come, you probably have heard real estate investing is the place to do that. How do you get started? What do you have to do? When's the right time? If you are looking for those answers, you've come to the right place. My name is Kyle Stanley, and this is Fearless Flipping. My mission is to help you learn this business and conquer real estate investing. What if you could go back to your 18 or 19 or 20-year-old self and explore the world of real estate investing at that young age? Shoot, some of you might be listening in at that age or maybe even younger right now. Kudos to you, but for those of you that are like me, past 30 years old, just now finding out about this, there's not much I wouldn't give to go tell my early age self all about real estate investing, and no telling where you'd be right now. But here's the deal. We can learn from people that are doing this business at a very young age as well, because they're bringing new ideas, new routines to the table, and that's who Adam Abajian is. He's 20 years old. He's been doing real estate investing since he was 18, done 12 flips in just under a year and a half. And this kid, he doesn't carry himself like a 20-year-old. I feel like I'm learning from a mentor of mine when I'm sitting down with him, and he just has all the knowledge in the world. So before we get to it, make sure you're subscribed to our channels, whether it's on YouTube or if you're listening to this on the podcast. Review, like, comment. We'd love all of you to do that. That really helps us a lot in our mission to get out to more people. Now let's get to it with Adam Abajian. All right, here we go. Adam Abajian to my left, and he is only 20 years old. This guy is a total inspiration. The first time we ever met here locally at a Fresno meetup, I heard about his success, and I'm thinking, okay, cool, someone like my age that's going to be able to help me out. And then I found out he's 20 years old. I'm like, wait, what? I had to do a double take, but that's a compliment because
it's the beard.
Yeah,
it's the only
the
reason.
beard, and people think I'm like 40 because of the gray in the beard, but I'm not 40.
That's good. Don't worry
thanks,
about
man.
it.
Well, so Adam, let's start out with your most interesting real estate deal. I want to hear about that first, and then we're going to get into your story, which is definitely a good one. But yeah, what is that most interesting one?
I would say the most interesting one I'm working on right now.
Okay.
It's in escrow, and so it's a probate deal. So this lady doesn't even own the house. What happened was her parents died. No will was there. She's going into foreclosure. She's been in foreclosure since January. It's been about 7 months or so.
Okay.
She's about a week away from going to auction, and we're trying to move her through that probate process so she can sell it. But she's got a brother who's in prison, and that brother's in prison because he stabbed that lady's husband.
Oh my gosh.
So we're trying to work out this whole mess right now. I'm also buying it less than my truck. It's an interesting deal. I've never really, yeah.
Is this your first probate?
Not my first probate one, but definitely the first probate that's been this hard. Yeah.
Okay. Well, before we get into your story, I'm actually interested to educate our viewers about probate, because I know it can be a really intricate process. Yeah. So just kind of take us through, what have you experienced with probate?
So, well, it's kind of 50-50 in terms of the type of attitude you get from the people that are going through it. Some of them will flip you off and say, hey, I don't want anything to do with you. Someone died in my family, and we don't want to sell. The other people are like, hey, we just inherited a house. Why not go get, $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 for it?
Absolutely.
So there's kind of two different approaches to it. And so essentially probate is when, the owners have died and there was no will, and they've got to take it through, or there was, but they've got to take it through a process to get the title into the new owners, and usually it's the daughter or the son or something in that nature. And so those people can be very willing to sell, and sometimes they're they don't want anything to do with it. They don't want anything to do with you. So it's a 50-50 shot on that.
Now, what about from like the legal standpoint? What does that process look like?
To be honest with you, the whole process, I'm not a master on that.
Yeah.
I know I'll go pay an attorney a few $1,000s and get that thing solved, but it can take 6 months to 2 years sometimes. So it's a very, very long process, and some people can't deal with that. And sometimes they're going into foreclosure, and so someone like myself can come in, save them, and give them a solution where they can get some money for their property.
Okay, cool. Well, so enough about probate. Let's talk about you. So 20 years old, you've been doing this business since you were 18, which I wish I was introduced to real estate investing when I was 18. It took another 10, 12 years before I was.
No worries.
But what attracted you to this right away? Just kind of give me a little bit about your story if you can.
Yeah, so I really, really wanted to get into multifamily real estate. That was the one thing I wanted. I wanted passive income. I was super attracted to that. And so in that, I'm 18 years old, maybe even 17 at the time when I thought about it. And I was like, there's no way I can go buy, 30 units or 40 units. And by the way, I was into the Grant Cardone thing.
Yeah,
So
same here.
I wasn't about the single family or the duplex or anything like that. But I learned, okay, I don't have this money. How am I going to make it? Well, why not go into one of the things where you have the biggest transactions, which is houses. No one pays more for anything but a house. That's usually your biggest purchase for almost everybody in their lifetime. So if I can get into those transactions, I can A, earn a lot of money in single transactions, and then 2, learn about the real estate industry. It seemed like a win-win for me. And so that's kind of how I figured out, okay, let me start flipping. I was introduced to wholesaling a little bit later. I know it was still popular, but it really got popular, pretty lately. And so flipping just was so attractive to me in the sense that, A, you can earn a lot of money, but 2, when you get into commercial real estate and multifamily, a lot of the times you are flipping that property, but it's over a length of years.
Sure.
So it's kind of the same spectrum. I know they're 2 different worlds, but you can learn a lot about that from just flipping. So
I'm curious because I didn't learn even the term passive income until I was 26 years old, and I felt like I'd missed out on like this huge thing in life.
Yeah.
Who was it that was telling you at the age of 18 about passive income?
YouTube, to be honest with you. YouTube University. That's where I learned pretty much everything. After I graduated high school, I spent that whole summer just diving into everything I could learn about real estate, flipping, multifamily investing, everything that was around it. And so that kind of sparked my interest. It took me a few months after sitting in front of my computer to really take some action.
Yeah.
But that's where I got my jump.
That's awesome. So did you have any plans of going to college?
I was in college for a little bit.
Okay.
I don't think I actually have any credits from college. I was in there for about a year. Don't think I ever passed a class.
Really?
Not because I was dumb, just because I couldn't pay attention. I was like, this is not for me. So I just couldn't do it. Yeah.
But society says you're not passing classes.
Yeah.
And so that means that you're not going to be success. And
Exactly.
and look at you. I mean, just so you know, our listeners, top deal that you've done here, Adam, $46,000 on one deal.
That was a fun deal.
That right there is, I mean, I know for me, after graduating college, I was a sports anchor right out of college. Like, they don't pay anything. It took me 2 years to make not even as much as you made on one deal.
Yeah.
Like that, and that's a college degree. So can you just share with me, especially from this, I think our society is moving to a different, the YouTube University, the self-education, to go out and learn yourself, or buy an education system that's going to teach you overnight or in a few months rather than going through a 4-year university. Can you just talk a little bit about the experience firsthand of doing that versus going through college and
Yeah. I think the biggest takeaway from doing what I'm doing versus being in college is you're forced into that action, A, and B, you kind of have no other option. You're not waiting. A lot of people go into college going through that time knowing that when they come out they're going to have a degree, and that's going to be their support. They're going to be able to say, look, I got this, now I can go find a job because I have this piece of paper. And I think that being pushed into an industry where you either have to succeed or you have no money, you really get yourself going. And the other thing in that is that you have to overcome a lot of fear. And so you can't really just, it ties in with the first reason, but you can't just sit on your butt and think of all the things that are going to go wrong. You have to take the action to get to where you want to go. And you're going to have to go through a lot of obstacles and learn a lot of things the hard way, maybe lose some money, waste some time. I wouldn't even call it wasting, because you're obviously learning some stuff from it, but you're going to have to be put into the environment where you're going to grow, and you're going to force that growth because you're not just sitting behind a desk learning about it, but you're actually in the field doing it. And so obviously you can do that through college, but being forced into that at an early age, I think that really pushed me to get over the fact of obstacles being in the way and prohibiting me from getting where I want to go, and instead taking those obstacles and figuring out how to deal with them, what I can learn from them, and just move forward in any area of life.
Hey, Fearless Flipping community, let's hear from one of our sponsors right now. Have you thought about becoming a real estate investor, but you have no money, or maybe you just don't feel like you have the right guidance, the right system, or maybe the right plan? Well, the Phenom Investor Blueprint course is your answer, developed by seven-figure earner Matt Garabedian and a good friend of mine. Matt uses his 10-plus years of real estate investing knowledge to teach you how to get involved with real estate investing without spending a dime. Matt's wholesaling techniques will work for any market at any time, so if you want to make 6 figures, 7 figures, or more, yeah, that's right, it's possible, it's time to invest in yourself. Check out the Phenom Investor Blueprint at fearlessflipping.com/Phenom. Again, that's fearlessflipping.com/Phenom. This is your first step to financial freedom. fearlessflipping.com/Phenom. That's awesome. I mean, when I was in college and going through my major, it wasn't until I got my internship where I was actually doing what I was reading about in books that I learned the most. So that 100% makes sense. And I got to imagine, too, the idea of using other people's money at a young age like that, was that a fear? Was that an obstacle? Like, how did you deal with that?
So luckily I had and still have some partners that work with me on the deals, but the thing that kind of that's always haunted me is that money is okay, I'm 20 years old. And not really how is someone going to give me the money, but once I get that money, like that's a burden. That's kind of stressful. You've got a mortgage, you got a loan for $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 while you're flipping a house. How am I going to manage that? And so that's one of those fear factors or those obstacles that I can't really sit back and say, okay, this is gonna suck. I don't know how to deal with this. It's going to be stressful. What if it goes wrong? You know, I'm never going to flip a house. I'm never going to go anywhere. I'm never going to excel. And so that's something where I had to kind of push myself over the top and figure out a way to be comfortable in that situation and just help myself to grow.
I don't think that's an age thing. I think that's just human like nature because A, we're not very educated as a society about money. And so now when you've got probably more money than you even got in your bank account given to you in order to put a deal on, it's like, what is going on?
I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Well, it's scary. So how did you get past that fear?
I think one of the ways is proof of concept. Once you get something done and you see that it can be accomplished and you did it, then you have a lot more confidence, obviously, in yourself. And in that, you know, I kind of realized after a while when I was doing stuff like, there's a ton of things I don't know, and it's going to be a long, long time until I know close to everything. And in that, you know, I don't know everything, but compared to everyone else, I know so much. And so that thought really propelled me. You know, if I have a good deal, if I can find something great, you know, why can't I leverage other people's money and get this thing done? If I were to bring it to them individually, they'd buy it and do the same thing. So why can't I just do it if it's so good for them? And so kind of thinking in that aspect and thinking of, you know, how can I get this done? And there's a way to do it, and I know it's a good deal, and just giving myself the positive reinforcement, I think that was the stuff that kind of pushes me. I know there's a lot of times where I'll check something like 12 times just to make sure it's all right. But you know, having that belief in myself, knowing that, you know, if someone else can do it, someone else is going to take advantage of this. Why can't I do it? There's no reason. Absolutely. So, did you have any sort of mentorship along the way? Yes. So I had a couple of mentors that I'm very, very thankful for. I encourage every single person before they do anything to go find a mentor. Even if that means taking a year of not getting the amount of money you want or wasting time helping them out or doing what they want to do, I think it's so much more worth it because you will come up into problems. Every house is different, every deal is different, and you're going to come into stuff where you're not so sure about it. And even if it does look great, you still want a second opinion. Absolutely. And you want some help. And I think the mentors I had were just excellent in showing me how to do rehabs, how to negotiate, and you know, it was a lot of the basics at first that I probably could have YouTubed and found out myself. Sure. But you get into it more and more and more, and these guys really know how to get into the deals and understand how to move things quickly and efficiently. And so, I had a couple partners, and I still do that I utilize and I work with. And there's just, with networking, you meet a lot of people, even like yourself.
Yeah.
And you meet people that when you do have a problem, you can talk to them and you can utilize them just because you've been outgoing and you've networked. So I wouldn't consider those guys mentors, but they're just connections that I have too that have helped me out.
Yeah.
Like the property we mentioned, the probate deal.
Yeah.
So that one's going to be hard to sell, and I wasn't really sure how to evaluate that land because we're going to have to tear down that property.
Oh wow.
So instead of saying, okay, I don't know what to do. My partners didn't know what to do, and so instead of just sitting there and saying, okay, let's cancel it, I was able to reach out to a couple investor friends that I had. They gave me some land appraisers, and we were able to, or in the process of getting some good numbers on that, and then through that finding some buyers through the appraisal.
Oh, sweet.
Or the appraiser, I'm
Okay.
sorry. So just knowing a couple people helped me transition this deal and flow it through till the end.
Yeah.
Still working on it, but that's kind of the other side of it as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. So talk about some of the deals that you've done here. You've been in about a year and a half, done upwards of 12 deals, which is pretty amazing. I mean, most people in their first year maybe do 3 deals from just kind of the averages that I've seen.
Yeah.
Like that was my goal originally, and now my goal is more like 5 my first year, but in a year and a half, that's pretty awesome, man. So what do you attribute your success to, and where have you found like a niche that you're looking for?
To be honest with you, I haven't found the niche yet, and that's solely because I think I don't have the budget large enough to kind of maybe find exactly what I'm interested in. There's a couple things that I like marketing to and looking out for, but I want to test a little bit more and find out exactly what is best for me. I don't have a specific yet. At this point, I'll take what I can get.
Yeah.
I attribute a lot of my success to my mentors. As of right now, I think they've helped me so much, and there's a lot of mistakes that I would have made, and if I was by myself, probably a few more properties I would have purchased, maybe a little bit higher too, that weren't good investments that they're able to see, on the back end, or even just real quickly, I see this, and this isn't going to work, and I would have never known that at all. So having them to rely on, and my first set of deals was extremely helpful because they were able to, I'm an 18-year-old kid, I see a property, I see, oh my gosh, I can make 30 grand on this, I've never made 30 grand, I'll jump on it like that. But my partners, they've done it a couple hundred times. They take a step back and say, okay, let's look at this, and this. Okay, you got a wrong number here and here, or this is going to end up like this, you don't know the market, and next thing we're negative 20 grand. So there's situations like that where if I didn't have them, my shiny object syndrome would have kicked in.
Absolutely.
Just like everyone else, and I probably would have jumped on those. And so they've saved me a lot of time, energy, and thankfully money.
Absolutely. So we've talked about the mentors a couple times now. How did you find these mentors?
I'm going to attribute that to God. I'm a very firm believer, so that's kind of where I'll put my faith in that. One of them is a family friend I met at a coffee shop where I was working. I used to work at Cup of Joy here in town. And so I met one of them there, and we were just talking, and I had mentioned that I wanted to get into real estate, and he mentioned he did a couple hundred deals a year, and so I was very intrigued.
Wow.
So that's kind of where that sparked. The other mentor I have was a partner of his, and he specializes in everything rehab. So you can imagine one guy knows his rehab, but knows all about negotiation and sales and stuff like that. The other guy's just a master at rehab. And so combining those two forces, I was just able to just get a lot of knowledge from those guys. And that's kind of how that started.
So you've obviously met these guys, and I mean, let's be honest. Anyone that's listening right now is like, this guy's 20 years old. Like, you carry yourself with a lot of confidence. You're very articulate. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, he doesn't look like he's 20. But at the same time, like, you've not only started these relationships, you've held on to them and had a lot of success with them. So what has been the key for you with holding on to your mentors to continue that relationship?
I think, and I struggle with this still, is to be able to provide value to them as well.
Good.
And that's difficult when you have a guy or guys that are doing, hundreds of deals each year. How do you give them value? Hey, look, I brought you 3 deals. Okay, well, they could have done that themselves. Yeah. And I think trying to add value to them and help them out is the biggest thing. And there's times where that is difficult. But I've noticed that, lately with a lot of the networking I do, if I need something from someone, it's always in the back of my head, okay, if you need something, you can ask them, but let's, make sure you can try and offer something to them as well. At least say, hey, anything you need, I'd like to be of assistance, even if it's a waste of your time. That's kind of one thing I'm striving to do, is making sure I'm always adding value to that person as well. And that'll make them want to come back and want to be, build a better relationship with me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think too, that word add value, it can be intimidating for someone, especially if you're 18 and you've got, how old are your mentors? Over 40?
Yeah, one of them's mid-30s, one of them's, I think, in his 40s.
Okay, yeah, I mean, an 18-year-old trying to add value to a guy in his 30s and a guy in his 40s can be really intimidating.
Yeah.
So I think it's important for everyone listening right now to know that adding value can be as little as buying that person lunch.
Yeah.
Actually doing what they tell you. Like, that's one thing that our friend Jason Pritchard talks about.
Yeah.
Is the hours that he's sat down and coached new people in this business, and then meets with them a week later and they don't do anything.
Yeah.
And that's a waste of his time, and it also is kind of a slap in the face. It's like, dude, I just gave you all of this information. You did nothing with it. Not only did that not add value, you actually took away something from me. You took away my most valuable asset, which is my time.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
But at the same time, like, I think that you're doing your best to add value, but I want other people to also know that it doesn't have to be this grand, big gesture of, like, rolling out the red carpet for them. It's just something simple. Am I right?
Yeah. And I think too, trust me, I still get caught up in finding myself not doing this. But when I was 18, and even now, there's times where I'm like, I don't really think I'm helping them. I don't really see, the benefit that I'm giving them. So I have to kind of remind myself, okay, what can I do to make sure they're still pleased and happy, and their stomachs are fed.
Yeah.
Maybe not monetarily, because I know they're doing high volumes, but that may be, like I was saying earlier, find a mentor. If you've got to just follow them around and just help them pick up trash at a property while they sit in their car, just do it, because you're going to be able to have their connections, know the people they work with, and you can ask them questions, and I just think that's more valuable than anything.
Yeah.
And I don't know if a lot of people see that, because at the time it's like, why would I want to waste my time doing that? But in the long run, especially in this industry, when you're putting up your own money, I think it's very, very valuable to be able to have a mentor or two.
Absolutely.
And then real quick, before I forget, choosing the right mentor is very important as well.
Absolutely.
Making sure both of your guys' goals align, and what they want to do, their morals, their ethics, everything like that goes together. Because if that doesn't align, their goals don't align, or they're preaching something that you might not believe in, I feel, or I know that it's very hard to create a good bond, or at least to stick for a long time.
Yeah, that's
so.
That's
yeah,
really
that might
good.
be one thing at one point. If in the beginning you just are looking for someone, that's great and you find them. But in 2 years, if you guys are working together and you want to go, buy big, huge apartment complexes, and they want to buy single families, well, they're going to preach to you how to buy that, and you want to do something else. So that's just an example. But
people will follow you for where you're going or where you've already been. You're not going to follow someone, like you said, that's got completely different goals. So that's good. In the next episode, I know you and I kind of talked about it. We want to help people get past the struggles, whether that's just starting or getting through maybe a lull in their business. But I think also it'd be really interesting for me, because I know that your budget for marketing is not a very big one. So you are a very active person. And there's a lot of people that hold themselves back from even getting into this business because they're like, I don't have $5,000 a month for a direct mail.
Yeah.
So I would really love to dive into what a day in the life of Adam Abajian looks like, so that we can show people all the activity that you're doing. You want to do that?
I'd love to.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We'll do that on the next episode. But before we let our viewers go, I would like to know, aside from a mentor, what's maybe one thing that you can give as advice for someone who's starting, or maybe one hurdle that you really had to get over to get to that next level, something along those lines?
Yeah, I think the biggest hurdle would be seeing other people's success stories. You listen to podcasts, watch YouTube videos, and there's a lot of people that say, oh, I made all this money in X amount of days, and it seems so great, and then you jump into it, and you're 3-4 months in, and you haven't gotten a deal, or you haven't had any success in anything. And so I think One, keeping the motivation while you're going is definitely something that needs to be looked at daily. Just kind of see, okay, am I still on the right track? And then that ties into consistency, making sure you have a plan and following that plan every day. And you got to hold yourself accountable because you're the one doing it yourself. So the motivation and consistency really tie in together because you can easily let yourself go. And especially people who have full-time jobs or are working other things.
Absolutely.
You come home from a long day, you don't want to call people from 5 to 7. No, you want to go sit down, drink a beer. Well, not in my case, but sit down, talk with your friends. You don't want to go do that stuff. So, or go hang up bandit signs. Like, who wants to go do that in the West Side, Fresno, at 8, 9 o'clock at night? Like, that's not fun necessarily. Well, for some people it might be. But so being able to have a consistent work ethic in that while you're trying to get your first deal and knowing that you're going to be able to get it if you keep persisting, that's probably the biggest thing. And I think, a lot of people don't even start, but for all those who start, I think a lot of them fall off because of that.
Man, gold. So much gold in this, and I don't think many people expect to hear that from a 20-year-old. So literally, I hate to keep on bringing up the age thing, but it really is like spectacular what you've done, and I don't want you to even think that anyone's taking that for granted at all because it's really incredible. So how can people get in contact with you or connect with you?
Yeah, I have an Instagram. It's just Adam Abajian, Abajian. That's pretty much my main form of social media. I need to get a little bit more active on that. But I'd love to connect with anyone and everyone. Cool. I love networking, talking with people. I'm obviously a pretty energetic guy, so I'd love to meet, like I said, anyone and everyone. And that's probably my main form of communication, I'd say, through there.
One more time on the spelling there so everyone can get
Adam
that.
And then Abajian, Abajian.
Perfect. Okay. Any last words?
I think that's it. I'm all good. I'll save it for the next episode.
Awesome. Hey, if a 20-year-old can do it, you can do it too. Go out, conquer real estate investing. We will see you next time. fearlessflipping.com/Adam. That's where you can find the show notes. And once again, please like this video if you're watching it. Please review if you're on the podcast. And make sure you're checking in later this week to learn from Adam as he tells us exactly how he's working to teach himself how to delegate, how to get more out into scaling his business and not being the technician or necessarily even the manager, but even the entrepreneur for his business. So once again, www.fearlessflipping.com/Adam for those show notes. And we'll see you next time on This Week with Fearless Flip with Adam, teaching us how to delegate, how to outsource our business, and what he's doing on a daily basis to improve his business. And then we will be able to continue to conquer real estate investing. We'll see you then.